What is going on, guys? Legit here. Welcome back to some more World of Tanks on console, and today have another how to play video. This time we're going to be covering light tanks and some important points to remember while playing them, such as what to do when a match begins, when to switch between spotting and support, knowing when and where to fight, and some other important points that we'll get into. So straight away we're going to be looking at two videos here. One of them is on Sacred Valley, and we are in the M41 Walker Bulldog, and another one on Erlenberg, and we are in the M41 Brazil. Okay, so real quick before we start the replay, there's one thing I wanted to bring out. This kind of applies to every tank class, but especially light tanks. Before the match even starts, you really need to know which direction you're going to go, what spot you want to go to. Can't really afford to stay at the cap circle. You want to get to your spotting position as quickly as possible. That way you can let your team know which tanks are coming from which direction. And this is all without getting yourself killed in the first 30 seconds. You know, the most useless scouts are the ones that, yeah, light up 10 tanks, but then get themselves killed. They're of no use the rest of the game when it really matters. Okay, so for this first match, I like to come over here to this little spot by this castle tower here. It's a pretty okay spot, I suppose, as far as stuff goes on for spotting on this map. But I turn around so that way we can get out of this situation if stuff goes south. We light up an E50, but he does light us up as well because he is getting quite close. Take a shot, miss. See if we can get one more off before we leave here. Oops, I actually didn't mean to track him, and he took a shot at us, but it missed, so it worked out. Now I do see an opportunity here. Most of the tanks that came to back up that E50 have gotten kind of caught out in the open. So I felt reasonably sure that I can come in here, get a shot off, and leave before anything else really has a chance to shoot at me. Wasn't really worried about the E50 shooting at me either. I don't think, but I could be wrong, that he would have taken a shot at me when he does have 3 other tanks in front of him that do significantly more damage. But again, that's something that kind of comes with time. Okay, so maps like Sacred Valley are really tricky for light tanks. As one, there isn't a lot of open space, and two, there is a lot of concealment on this map. So by the time you've lit up something, they've most likely lit you up as well. Which brings me to my first point, first rule of light tank driving. You don't want to brawl at the beginning of a match unless, one, you have the absolute advantage over the enemy tank, or two, you really don't have any other alternative. Except for those two reasons, you really don't want to be fighting close quarter combat with any other tanks, regardless of really what they are. I kind of liken it to how some people view autoloaders. The longer they stay alive during a match, the more dangerous they become. So it's kind of true of light tanks as well. The longer you stay alive, A, the more use will be to your team because you'll be able to spot stuff in game. And two, I mean, staying alive longer will just allow you to get more damage in general. But this spot is becoming less and less of a good idea, so we are going to leave and relocate, which is something that you're just going to have to do when you're in a light tank. You don't need to be married to a certain spot for the entire game. You have the mobility, so you might as well use it. And at the end of the day, you got to remember that you are a tank with a cannon on it, so if you see an opportunity, you might as well go for it. It's like this T-29 here, wait for our camo and binoculars to come up. Start unloading the clip into him. He has no clue what is happening here. Gotta love the bulldog, huh? So this flank over on this side was being a tad bit too quiet, so I came over here to try to investigate and see what was going on. Lit up, I believe, one tank, Tier 9 WZ-111, and on the exit out, got a little bit too cute and paid the price for it. But we now know that he is still over there after all this time. But now we are going to go back to try to help out our tanks over here and play more of a support role rather than spotting. You know, just being another gun firing at the enemy tanks over here, essentially. Taking more of these opportunity shots than anything. Again, not really spotting anything, but playing the support role, just being available, really, is all we're doing at the moment. But we are are towards the end of this match, and artillery on the enemy team is still in play. And I've seen many reasonably good clutch matches be ruined just because artillery was still in play and took out the tanks. So trying to take that out at the end game is also something else that's, you know, essential you can do in any tank class, but light tanks especially are really good at this because they're so mobile. They can relocate around the whole map at a reasonable pace, as we just did there. Couldn't go really on the south side of the map because, you know, there was tanks down there. So used our mobility, went north, took the long way around, and took out the artillery. Was it risky? Not in this particular situation because we knew where the last 3 remaining heavy tanks were. But if we didn't, and there was still some tanks on the enemy team that were unspotted, we didn't know where they were, yeah, this could have been on the riskier side. But as you continue to play your light tanks, you'll know when and how to make those type of decisions. One of the things we talked about earlier was not fighting unless you had the absolute advantage in that fight. One of the advantages that you can use quite frequently in a light tank is the element of surprise. And I'm not even going to say anything, I'm going to just let the video take care of this point. Okay, so the next point I wanted to talk about is when you're playing your light tanks, you do not want to force a bad situation. What I mean here is I am currently looking for the artillery on the enemy team, and I believe I have a pretty good idea of where he is. Yep, there he is. But as soon as I go to engage him, I get shot by the CDC. Okay, so in this situation I have 2 options. I can either continue to try to engage the artillery and take him out, but if I do that, the amount of time it'll take me to do that, I'll probably take another shot from the CDC, and again I'll still have to worry about artillery splashing me. If I try to take the CDC out, I'm most likely going to take a shot from him, another shot from the CDC, and I still have to worry about artillery splashing me. So those 2 situations are pretty much the same, and neither one of the outcomes are that favorable. So instead of trying to do either one of those 2 options, I'm going to fall back, not leave completely, but to get into a position where I will have the advantage. And all that really means doing is moving over just a little bit so that I get out of artillery's range. That way I can take shots at the CDC safely and take him out without losing any health. So keeping things like that in mind will allow you to be one of the few light tanks drivers that make it to the end of the match. Okay, so to recap, don't brawl, especially at the beginning of a match unless it's absolutely necessary. And when you do have to fight, make sure you use your speed and your mobility to make it harder for your enemies to shoot at you. Don't become married to a certain spot. You know, you're in a light tank. Don't be afraid to reposition and keep the enemy guessing on when you're going to pop up next. And also, as we talked about earlier, it's a key to playing light tanks is knowing when to switch between the spotting role and the support role. You know, playing light tanks is high risk. I mean, you're basically just out there using your speed, mobility, and camouflage to keep you alive. So they're the most useful tank class, but also the most expendable. I mean, the most useful because they tell your team a whole lot of useful information about the enemy's whereabouts and what they're doing. But if you do lose them, you don't lose too much in terms of firepower or armor. But that's going to wrap this video up, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, please consider leaving a like and also subscribe. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Both of those links are down in the description box down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.